We got buckets of green beans, pumpkins, blueberries, a lot of them, sweet peppers, so much squash, watermelon, cucumbers, tomatoes, and onions. So yeah, lots of pretty flowers. Let's go out and harvest all of the stuff from the garden. What's up, you guys? I'm Natasha. This is the kitchen garden at Shepherding Peppers Farm, and it's time for another weekly garden tour. It is about to be project week. That's what I'm calling it. Next week, we have a lot of changes that are going to be happening, not just in the garden, but around the property. We are supposed to be finished with the pool next week. So begins then the process of finishing the fencing and landscaping. And throughout this garden, I've been growing a lot of perennial plants for that purpose, for landscaping. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to move things in. I'm really excited to do a lot of this work and get it done. So there's going to be a lot of turnover. There's going to be a lot of garden chores. There's going to be a lot of transition in the next week. So I hope you guys are excited to be a part of that with me. It's going to be fun and sweaty and gross all at the same time. But today's garden tour is not about that. Today's garden tour is about talking about what we have growing in our garden right now. We are in Horry County, South Carolina, growing zone 8B, and it is hot and humid. We are fighting the blight, the bugs, the humidity, all of it. And because of that, there's going to be some damage on the plants, but there's also a lot of greenery and a lot of harvesting that is going to be happening today. We're going to go grocery shopping in the garden. That's what I call it. I like to harvest as much as I can from the garden and then meal plan around what I have harvested, what we've grown. We are growing here in raised beds. These 6 on this side are wood, the rest are stone. We will finish that transition in the fall, but we have a lot of other farm projects that are going on right now. And when you have a working homestead like this, you have to prioritize what chores get done when. So let's go take a look at what we have growing. Let's harvest what we can. I'll point out to you if I remember what is going to be moved. We'll just have to see. I never really map out these garden tours. I kind of just start talking to you and sharing what's growing and tips and tricks for growing them. So really quickly before we begin, what was I gonna say? It's full on ADHD morning. I had somebody ask me recently what we're doing to the soil. Why does everything look so green and so lush and is doing so well? And one of the best things that I can tell you is during this time of year, we get the majority of our rain. It rains almost every single day, and rain carries natural fertilizers and nitrogen within it. So when you have rain coming down every single day, it's when I have the most rapid growth in the garden. The plants look the most green. They do their best. It's still a fight with the insects, but it's just all growing and doing exponentially well. The only thing we really do to our soil is we do make compost here, mostly with kitchen scraps and cardboard and things of that nature. I haven't really done much with the animal bedding. I've just kind of let it be. So for that reason, we amend with compost whenever we see that a bed needs filling or whenever we're doing a major turnover like spring to fall. But most of this is just what it is. I've grown this entire garden from seed, my hands right here, and I like to do things as natural as possible. I like to do as little work as I can. I know that sounds bad, but when you have a garden this massive, the more you give yourself chore-wise to do, the harder it becomes to maintain. And we have 5 kids. They're all under the ages, they range from 4 to almost 14, so we're busy. We have to really do things as easily as we can. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking to grow an organic garden and to not give yourself too much work, I'll be your girl. Over here I've got several cups that at this point really desperately need to be put somewhere, and I've got more and more plants that are ready to go into the garden. This is one of the beds that will end up being turned over. This has a lot of fall and winter plants for us, a lot of brassicas. This bed does receive the least amount of sunlight, and because of that, it does pretty well at handling the heat and humidity. And as beautiful as some of these plants are, you can see we've got a lot of bug damage. These are cauliflowers and things of that nature. This is broccoli, Waltham 29, and I'm going to harvest what I can out of this, and then the extras I will go ahead and feed to our sheep. But we are going to pull these because I've got other stuff that needs to go in here and it's just not going to produce as well. And then I would like to get some tomato propagation plants up here on this trellis. You can see the soil is literally saturated. Like, it has rained so much. I actually grew up in Washington State. I'm not a South Carolina native. And we have constant 24/7 rain there on the Pacific Peninsula, on the Sound, Puget Sound. That's where I grew up, about an hour outside of Seattle. And you grow up on the water, you grow up riding ferries, you grow up with constant 24/7 rain. And I was shocked to learn that we actually receive more rainfall here per inch each year than we do back home in Washington State, which truthfully, South Carolina has become my home. If you were to ask me where I consider my home to be, it's not where I was raised, but it's here. It's South Carolina. We've been here for many, many years now, but this is my happy place. I really love it here. And this time of year, there's so much rain that comes down all at once that I was shocked to find out that we actually get more rain here per inch than in Washington. It's just crazy. So I'm probably going to explain what we have going on in a bed, and then I'll harvest it, with the exception of green beans. The kids can help me with that. It's very challenging for me to not come through and start doing projects and to start messing with stuff because I haven't been able to be out in the garden. So I naturally want to come through and start working. However, that's not our plan for today. So right here we have a bunch of different lettuce that is bolting, going to seed. So if you are growing lettuce, or you're trying to grow lettuce, and you see that it's getting really tall and it's doing this right here, this is it going to seed, going to flower. So if you allow this, if you don't rip the plants out, you can actually save seeds from your lettuce for next season, which I think is a great benefit. However, this is one plant, and each one of these flower heads is going to produce a ton of seeds. So one plant is going to give you a massive amount of seeds. So for me personally, I don't need this many lettuce seeds for these plants right here. So I will cut it down to one plant that I will harvest the seeds from. We'll label those. I will try to make sure that I bring you along for the seed saving journey. And the rest we're going to cut down. Now, I do have some lettuces that are supposed to be more heat tolerant. You're typically not able to grow lettuce really during this time of year in the deep south. It almost always goes to seed almost immediately. However, I figured we'd do an experiment this year and we would see how some of those do. And those plants are ready to go into the garden. I have a lot of plants on my seed shelves that are ready to come in and be transplanted. If they don't soon, they'll get stunted. So we really have to start working on that process. So right up here in the front, we have this purple one right here is catmint. It's a little bit lower. The leaves are a little bit different. And this is catnip. It's got white flowers. I would like to separate these out, get these nice and sorted so the plants are not grouped together like this. At this point in time, it's very easy to do so because you can clearly see the differences in the leaves. The texture, they're smaller, they have a darker pattern, whereas the catnip is larger and things like that. So I would really like to get these separated out because they do have somewhat different medicinal properties. These are perennials, although we have cats. As a lot of you guys know by now, I have Maine Coons. They're awesome, and I do grow some of this for them. The majority of this is grown for tea. That's my purpose with this. So I would like to get those moved and separated. We are planning to do a perennial herbal tea area in the future. For me, it's hard planning things out in the future like that because I instantly want to get things separated, but that's one of the things that's going to get moved soon. Over here in the front, though, we have some Nance carrots. Those I will leave as long as possible. We've got a lot of weeds that are going to come out. This is one of the things that I'm talking about. The beds are going to have to be weeded pretty hardcore. And then there are some Detroit red beets in here as well, and some onions that are planted in sporadically. So this is, dude, no. Japanese beetles. So this is going to be a big old project, changing over the garden and kind of taking care of it. I will be recruiting my children to help me. Most of the time it's just me. I can get the kids to come help me harvest or weed sometimes. Seth always tells me I need to be better about being like, just make them do it. So I need to work on that, but they have agreed to help me this next week. And Seth is always working on some other project around the property. So typically it's just me in the garden, which is why I have to really come at this in the easiest, most productive way possible. So as I mentioned, I am going to try to avoid doing the chores, the work. I am, however, going to try to harvest the beds as we come by. Last week's garden tour was a little bit of a challenge because of the fact that there have been people here, and we've been struggling with a little bit of sickness in my house. With 5 kids, they kind of just pass it around, and I just haven't been able to really get out to the garden as much as I typically would in years past. So for me, it's hard to come out here and show you guys things and not actually work. That's a challenge. At this point, there's not a ton of broccoli coming in, so all I really do with it is I put it in our snack container, and we have it fresh with ranch and stuff like that. Like, that'll be enough to fill up one little section of our snack container, so that's pretty good. I'm good with that. Now, over here on this side of this trellis, we have climbing, vining moonflower. Moonflower is exceptionally beautiful, and you can come outside at night and see it in full bloom. That's the only time it's going to bloom, is at night, so I'm really excited about that. This is giant purple hyssop or anise hyssop. It's known by both names. We have it all over the property. It has a mild licorice flavor. We mostly grow it for tea. It's exceptional. This is another perennial that I would like to relocate to somewhere else in the gardens. And all in through here, we've got lots of melons. I'm allowing them to grow and kind of spill and take over this walkway. That's my intention for it. Same with the pumpkins down there, is to just kind of spill out. In this section, we have vine peaches. I have talked on and on and on about my love for vine peaches. This actually looks like a tiger melon, but that's not surprising. Things can get a little bit intermingled in here. I didn't worry about separating things out quite as much because we have so many seeds at this point that I don't need to really save as much. So as the fruit starts coming in, it will definitely be easier for me to pull it out and show you what is what. So this, for example, this is a Hara Madu melon right here. And then next to it, this looks like some sort of honeydew right there. There's another one. Little babies over there. The leaves are protecting the fruit a little bit more from the bugs, which is nice. However, it can get a little shaded in here, which is why it'll be great when the vines get mature enough to start reaching out onto the ground. On this back trellis, we've got loads of cucumbers, so we'll go over there in just one second. Then in here, there are some artichoke plants. I will probably dig these up and move these just because they are getting attacked a bit by the melons, and I don't want them to kick the bucket anytime soon. Now over here, this trellis has Chinese purple noodle beans, and Sophia, one of my middles, absolutely loves these. So they make a really beautiful arch trellis. Just about all the pole beans do. With how crazy the garden is at this point, you really have to wear boots because of snakes and other critters and things like that. So I won't be mowing in here, clearly. All right, let's take a look over here. So these are going to be more melons that are just spelling out. These, see, I don't like this though, because I don't want these. These are all grass seeds, and I don't want them climbing into the bed and affecting it. That has bug damage. I can see it from right here. We'll get closer in a second, but you can see all the spots on it. Shame. Okay. Bug damage is a very normal part of gardening, especially organic gardening. And it is very hard to accept the fact that crop loss is going to be something that you struggle with when you are organic gardening, because you're not putting anything down to kill off the bugs that are eating your plants and therefore destroying your harvest sometimes. But if I look around, there are bees all over my garden. There's life all over my garden, and I don't want to do anything to hurt or harm those pollinators. I need them. They help feed me. So because of that, the recommendation is to, depending on how bad your area is with pest pressure, to expect anywhere between like a 10 to 20% crop loss between weather, blight, insects. So if you plant in surplus, sometimes it's easier to accept the amount of damage that you're getting on your plants, especially if it's spread out. If it's not like you lose an entire row of tomatoes, it's easier when you see, okay, there's some damage here, there's a problem there, but you're still getting a harvest. So if you have the space to plant in surplus, that is something that I would recommend doing. But even still, right now my tomatoes are struggling with blight, and it's early, but we got an early start for the season. So you have to take the good with the bad, and I'm constantly reminding myself in the middle of my initial annoyance that the plants have gotten destroyed that it's okay. This is a stink bug. That's a dead stink bug. All right, so right here we've got cucamelons. I just saw you. Where did you go? There's an assassin bug over here somewhere. Assassin bugs aren't poisonous, but if they bite you, it'll hurt. And it's sometimes confusing because they look a lot like leaf-footed bugs, but they're alone. They're loners. So you gotta kind of be on the watch out for that. So right now these are a mess. And that's okay. I just need that grass to not spread into the bed any more than necessary. But I wanted to grab some of these cucamelons and show them to you. Cucamelons are fun because they hide, so you really have to look for them. It's easier if you can get them climbing up something. Cucamelons. These can make really adorable little pickles. These are awesome. If we come past our cucamelons right in through here, these are bait alphas. These are my favorite cucumber to date. These are the only cucumber that has never gotten bitter in my garden. Don't be annoying. You can see like these spots right here, that's from a stink bug or a leaf-footed nymph bug biting at the plants. So oftentimes they can actually have like these little smaller dots that are left on the plant. However, they can also carry blight and other fungal diseases with them and transfer it from plant to plant. So all it takes is really like one small injection with blight or some sort of fungal disease from the bug to the plant and it'll affect it. But here in the deep south, we really struggle with heat and humidity. So for me, I'm constantly looking for cucumbers that can withstand the heat, that can withstand the blight, that can withstand the pest pressure. And bait alphas have done an amazing job of never really getting bitter. And for that reason, they remain my favorite. Every year, I do plant a few new varieties that are supposed to do better. I will say that for the most part, slicers, instead of pickling cucumbers, often withstand the blight and the bitterness a lot better. Light can cause bitterness, humidity can cause bitterness, going to seed can cause bitterness. All of those things can affect your cucumber flavor. So if you're growing in the south, I do recommend growing the bait alphas because of the fact that they are so good at not getting bitter and gross. For me, I will pickle any cucumber that has bitterness. It's a great way to use up cucumbers that have bitterness because the vinegar of the pickling will get rid of it. Don't mind me, I'm just over here smushing Japanese beetles any chance that I get. All right, I need a basket. The exception to the not doing any work is if I see something that I can trellis really quickly and get out of the way, I'm going to do that. Makes it much easier to see the fruit, which I appreciate. Cucumbers grow very, very quickly, and because of that, you do want to be able to see the fruit and get to it before it expands too much. What? Where are my snips? I just had them. Oh, they're over here. I will harvest. Don't you do that to me. I will harvest my cucumbers at any stage. I don't wait for them to get to a certain stage. I harvest them when I see them. See, this sort of jungle where it spills out onto the ground, it doesn't bug me. I just look at it like, okay, well, now I don't have to mow. And Seth is more like, oh, I don't like it. He's much more uniform. You can see his military history in that, whereas I'm much more creative. I like to paint and design and cook and experiment, and it's more the artistic side of things. It's funny how that always ends up seeming to be the way it works. The one finds the other. It's supposed to provide balance, and I think oftentimes it does, but sometimes it also causes arguments. Hi, Mr. Bumble. So all of these that I'm harvesting right now, these are all bait alphas. I haven't gotten into any of the other ones. And like I said, I will harvest them when I see them. I do not worry about whether or not it has gotten to a specific size or looks like the image on the seed pack or anything like that. Because oftentimes you'll miss some of them and they'll get really big anyways. Now next to it right here, these are Garden Sweet hybrid cucumbers. These are from, oh, I saw another bait alpha. These are more of a pickling cucumber. haven't tried them yet to really know if they are bitter, but we're going to do a pickle taste test soon, and we will find out. The bait alphas so far have been the only ones, and the Tokyo greens have been the only ones that I have not really had to do taste testing on and be like, oh, is this a bitter cucumber? Because all it takes is one bitter cucumber, and then you're very hesitant to enjoy cucumbers in the raw. And you don't want to juice a bitter cucumber either. That's just yuck. So very sweet. All right, cool. That should work. Now let's do the other side over here. I'm going to show it to you before I actually harvest it. So in the front of this trellis right here, these are Madu melons that are growing. And there's a bunch of different melons all in through here, but this whole section has cucumbers. So these are Tokyo greens. These are the other ones that are just fabulous. They don't get bitter very often. They're great. And as we work our way down, we have a Jimbai cucumber in through here. And we work a little bit further than that. These are dark green serpent melons, which again, they're a melon. However, they taste just like a cucumber. They're very similar to Armenian yard-long cucumbers or Armenian yard-long melons. Botanically speaking, they are a melon, so if you have a cucumber allergy, you can go ahead and eat these. You can tell the difference. I can put them in the same basket because these ones are furry, so they have a similar feel to them. I don't know, it still makes me nervous. I'm going to put them over there, but I could put them in the same basket, but I don't trust myself. I do like that the cucumbers look a little bit different than each other this year. It helps me really tell them apart and know what varieties are doing well and what ones are not. So Tokyo greens. Again, if I see something that is trellisable, we're going to do that. All of the rain really helps the cucumbers to produce well, for sure. It is already so hot and I'm in the shade, so it is only going to get hotter. Yikes, project week is going to be a sauna box. So that's a big one. Biggish one. Jimbais. The name is much longer than just a Jimbai cucumber, but it's Japanese and I'm not going to pronounce that for you correctly, and I don't want to insult anybody. So that's not something I'm going to concern myself with. Whoop. I may, however, fall over at random. That's always a possibility. Oh, I just saw one and I didn't harvest it. I was like, I've got to do that. That's not it. I know you're in there, and if I don't find you again, it will be sad for me because you have grown to be 1,000,000 inches long. Well, rubber ducky. That's so fun. Don't do that to yourself. If you see it, harvest it before you lose it. That's my recommendation. Always. Because now that is long gone. For me, it's over. I'm never going to find it again. It is what it is. So I'm going to come around to the other side since we just saw that area. Now over and through here, we have some Prescott Fond Blanc melons, as well as a few other different varieties. Like this is a Madu. I really love those. They're excellent. Hi, Mr. B. My kids will ask me, they're like, Mom, aren't you scared? And I'm like, no, as long as I don't bug them over and over, if I don't excessively harass the bees, they're not going to mind. Now this right here is Southern Giant Curled Mustard that it's gone to seed. And I like to grow these mostly for having mustard seeds because you can grind them up into mustard powder. And I like to put as much up in my spice cabinet as I can that I've grown myself. Spices can be quite expensive, so it's nice when you can save money on those. And then over and through here, we've got a lot of different melons. So these are Charleston Gray watermelons. And then this, I believe, is an orange glow melon, but we'll have to see. This is a carrot that has gone to seed. These are all carrot flowers. These will produce carrot seeds for next year. They're great. Now, instead of going into this bed, we're going to continue and we're going to go up. So really quickly, these are Blue Lake pole beans all in through here on this trellis. This trellis is filling up wonderfully. So we've got some beans starting right there. I have a host of Japanese beetles on them. Like, dang, dude, that's a lot. Yucky. But yeah, so there and there. I'm gonna have to start keeping an eye on these. The girls are so done picking beans. I wasn't able to can a ton of green beans last year, so I went a little extra this year and planted all of the beans forever. Now, this is all squash, pumpkins mostly, so winter squash. In through here, there are a few odds and ends, things that are a little bit different, you know, sporadic plantings. I don't mind this. I don't mind this field of pumpkins, the fact that I don't have to grow in through here. Now, I do understand with Seth, he doesn't like snakes, so he doesn't like that risk. However, it doesn't bug me as much. Right in through here, this is a red curry squash, and then these are all for one pumpkins. These are huge. They grow really well. So far at least they do. This is a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin right here. Seth saw this and was like, Tasha, look at how big this is. And I was like, honey, let's take a walk. He actually got a little excited about how big they were. So the intention was really to just have the roots of the plant in the bed and then allow it to spill out, because as the squash grows, it will put new roots down. And if it does that over and through here, that's fine with me. This one won't make it. The plant can only support so much fruit at once, so I don't worry when I see little squash babies like this. I mean, look at that. That's just beautiful. And if they're doing this well, if they're producing this many, I'm not going to fret when I see a couple of squash that aren't surviving. Like, this is a jack-o'-lantern, and so is that. That one's actually starting to ripen. You can see it's starting to get a blush on it. And we do struggle with squash bugs and vine borers, so my hope is that as the pumpkins grow on the ground, they'll continue to put out new roots that will help the plant support it enough to get these pumpkins to grow. This right here, I believe, is a Jardel, but I'll know more as it continues. Hopefully that's on a weird angle right here, and this is going to get heavy. So this one may actually need to be moved. Otherwise, it will break. There. Hopefully that will help it to not... The weight of that would have come over the bed and dropped. It wouldn't have made it. It didn't have enough reach on it. But yeah, all in through here. See, there's little ones down there. I'm not going to reach in here too much, just from the fact that it does have pokies on it, and I'm allergic. It'll irritate my skin and cause hives, which is hard for me not to get into everything. So mostly you just look around enough. This is a scallop squash, and this is ready. I'm going to take this. I need snips for that, though. This is chicory. It grows wild here. It looks a lot like a dandelion, but if you harvest the root, chicory powder is actually a natural coffee substitute, and you can buy it online for that purpose. So if we ever needed to, we could use that. Now, this is going to work out okay because of the fact that along this trellis in through here, these beans are drying beans. These are slippery slope pole beans. Because let's be honest, you're not really going to want to stand in this mess. I had a mosquito on my finger just now, and I just smushed him. Oh my goodness. The finger that was holding the phone, he was just chilling there and being a vampire. Rotten creature. So the reason this is okay, because you're not really going to want to traipse through here a ton to harvest these beans. These are drying beans. So they're going to grow, they're going to produce little beans, and then they're going to need to stay on the plant and dry, and then they'll have these really beautiful red beans in them that we can go ahead and put up in the pantry for red beans for the year. But you want to structure your garden in ways like that. Like, I wouldn't want to put beans in here like bush beans that I have to come in here and pick all the time while allowing the squash to sprawl like this. That would be a pain in the tush. So this works a lot better, knowing that I don't really have to do much over here. Just leave it be and leave this be. That's great. So right here, this is another one too many pumpkin. Here, this is my hand for reference. This is growing really well. A good trick for knowing when your pumpkins are ready is if you can put your fingernail in it and it leaves an indentation, it's not ripe enough yet. It hasn't hardened. All right, we already talked about these being Blue Lake whole beans. Done. Gosh, there's so many. I just whatever. I can't get to all those. These are sweet potatoes. A lot of what we have growing in this bed is sweet potato vines at the bottom, and these are kale plants. So I'm going to want to come through and harvest these kale plants and get them out of here so the sweet potato vines have even more room to grow undisturbed. But because this bed does struggle so much with grass, I wanted a suppressing vine. I wanted something that was going to fight to choke out the grass as much as possible. And then because tomatillos are so much taller, we have the vines and then we have the tomatillos that are growing right here. This is a leaf-footed bug. Those are terrible, terrible, terrible pests. Awful. So we're starting to get tomatillos on these. Hopefully they do okay. Sometimes we really struggle with tomatillo worms and things like that. Japanese beetles are ridiculous. I need to come out with a bucket of soapy water and grab pests. I haven't been out here much. You can see all this is the grass. This is going to need to be weeded for sure. As much as we can with these upper things. And then this is blanket flower. Blanket flower is a perennial flower. It's really lovely, but it does spread. So I had it planted all the way up at the front of the garden, and it came all the way down here. My sheep have found me, so they're going to be really noisy. Now, this bed had a bunch of potatoes in the front. We harvested the potatoes. They did great. And then this is a volunteer ground cherry right here. All in through here we have rudbeckia flowers in different sizes. These are Blau-Hild pole beans. Blau-Hild pole beans, while you can save them for a drying bean because they will produce a really nice white bean, beige bean, they also make very good beans when they're young that aren't super stringy. Now, if I let it get bigger than this, then it will need to be stringed if I let it get much bigger than this. So you do have to pick them kind of regularly, or you can leave them and let them become drying beans, which is nice. I'm going to put more potatoes in through here. They did great there. And then this is another volunteer ground cherry. I have them all over the garden. I will wait until the ground cherries drop to the ground before harvesting them. I don't actually pick them off the plants. That way I know that they're always ripe. And then there are Blau-Hild beans growing up this trellis right here as well. This is a volunteer zinnia. They're volunteer all over the garden. This is cilantro that has gone to seed, and now we are allowing the seeds to be saved for both spices, for coriander, and also for the purpose of having cilantro seeds for next year. So I will need to come through and harvest these. This is a leaf-footed nymph bug youth. That's what that is. So all of these are, so this is Gloriosa daisy right here. This is a sister plant to the rudbeckia. Then you can see the rudbeckia flowers. There are different varieties in here. They look really lovely. And we've got more, then we have more potatoes that are planted in here as well. Another ground cherry. I can't believe that they've spread this far this year. It's just crazy. And then this grass needs to be under control. This is no good. Now on this opposite bed right here, typically we do our corn over in there, but we planted the corn. And when we planted the corn, the construction people drove over it. So we just put some in here, and it's going to have to be what it is for this year. So there are some ground cherries on the ground over here that have dropped. Hopefully the ground cherries do okay being in between the corn, because the corn will get nice and tall. We'll just have to see how they do. Yeah, I do like to allow the ground cherries to drop to the ground, which is probably why we get so many volunteers. It's the best way that I've seen, though, to help ensure that the plants are ripe. You can harvest them, though, and they will ripen indoors if you wish. I feel like the flavor is better when you let them ripen out here, whereas tomatoes, you know, you can pick when they blush, and there's not too much of a flavor difference there. Now, this trellis right here has our Luffa gourds Loofahs are a wonderful replacement for sponges. We grow them every year for that exact purpose, to replace the sponges in our house. They're very easy to grow. They love heat and humidity, and you just kind of plant them and ignore them. Let them grow and dry out, and then you can harvest them and have your own sponges. It's great. Got our corn, and really good. And these tomatoes, you know, they need some attention. They're struggling with the heat and the humidity a little bit. That's normal. They also need to be staked up, tied up. We'll need to harvest anything that is starting to blush. So I may come through with my clippers really quickly and just tie these up a little bit. This one I could mow so these weeds don't get into the bed. I've talked about this recently, about the fact that when the tomatoes start to blush, I will go ahead and harvest them, because of the fact that we have such bad, I mean, even just walking around the garden so far today, I'm sure you guys have seen the amount of insects that have been all over the plants. And tomatoes have to also contend with the blight, not just the insects. So when I get a little bit of blushing on my tomatoes, I do harvest them. And I don't concern myself with it. Some people get really offended with what you do with your tomatoes. If you don't have anything better to do than be offended about how somebody harvests their tomatoes, I think you might need to reevaluate your priorities. It's just my opinion. So that process has begun, though. The process of anytime I see a tomato that has started to blush, show the faintest signs of coloring changing, it comes in the house. I will also occasionally, when the plants really start to grow in a cattywampus way, especially when I haven't gotten around to trellising everything, because life just gets in the way of things sometimes, I will harvest a branch like this and just take it. That can be used for propagation, as long as it's healthy. So a lot of people don't know this, but if you go to the grocery store and you get tomatoes that say vine ripened, it means they are harvested green and left on this vine, so that way they can ripen on the way to the grocery store. They're not actually ripening on the plant. Fun facts. Now, it might be different if you get, you know, the plants at a farmer's market or somewhere like that, but if it's in the grocery store, that's what they mean. Now, obviously, our feelings as people can change day by day, but as of this particular moment in time, I kind of just feel like whatever we get, we get. I will be propagating them. I will be doing what I can to help get a decent tomato harvest here, but I'm not gonna throw a tantrum about it. However, you know, next week I may feel differently. I may feel tantrum worthy next week. We'll just have to see. On through here, we've got lots of different peppers. I have more peppers than to be planted into the garden. These right here are sugar rush peach peppers. Peppers struggle with too much rain, which is tough because, like I mentioned, we get a lot of rain here. So you can see all these spots on my leaves. This is not great. There's a lot of yellowing. There's a lot of leaves dropping. A lot of these spots can be attributed to bugs, but the yellowing and the leaf dropping. So this is one of many beds of peppers. These are mostly just spicy peppers. These are Megatron jalapenos right through here. Doing good. Now, I did get asked this week why are my spicy peppers not spicy? There are a couple of different reasons that you might find that your spicy peppers aren't actually spicy. Too much rain is going to cause your peppers to not be spicy. It dilutes the capsaicin in your plant, which is what triggers the spice. So you don't want to overwater your peppers. That's a big one. That's going to affect look at how big that Megatron is. That's going to affect, though, how spicy they are. You don't want to pick your peppers right after you've watered them or gotten a heavy rainfall. Spicy peppers like a little bit of abuse. They like to suffer. So deprive them of water and let them wilt before watering them. That will help increase the spiciness. Harvesting them after you have let them wilt will increase their spiciness. So if you want your spicy peppers to be spicy, my advice is to let them suffer a little bit. These are Visante's sweet habaneros. Gosh, they've got so much fruit on them. When they're green like this, they're still spicy, but they're tolerable. Ooh, that's hot. I'll wake you up. Oh, it's because I'm getting to the seeds. Hello, Dolly. I'm going to get hiccups probably. Now, when I say when they're green, they're tolerable, that's probably going to be different for everybody. We eat a lot of spicy food. But my version of tolerable might be different than yours. So these are all Megatrons in through here. And we've got a nice batch of cayennes. Whew. It's spicy. So I've talked about this. I will talk about it in a second. I need some water. Which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to drink milk. Or chew like a winter mint gum. That'll help with super spicy burn. Do I know better? Yes. Do I do better? No. I'm not crying. It's fine. Glutton for punishment. Okay. I'm just throwing my peppers in here and I'll sort them in the house. I know what's what. All along here I've got some blue cream tomatoes. And then if we come down, I have one yellow pear tomato that is surviving. This is an absolutely massive gray zucchini because things have gotten wildly out of hand since I haven't been out here to harvest. This is a spaghetti squash. I'm sniffling so bad from that hot pepper. I'm so sorry, you guys. I probably sound ridiculous. Got some really gorgeous pumpkins over here. This one's almost ready. It's starting to toughen up. It's getting real close. And this is really beautiful. It's a Long Island cheese right there. And then this bed has a lot of different zucchinis in it. So I will harvest them and then show you what they are. But really quickly, if I can survive. Okay, the next time I choose to do that, I better have tissues. I'm sweating so profusely. Anyhow, even my hair is damp from the sweat. So I talked about this. I talk about this a lot. Let's just be honest. I do recommend harvesting your peppers as they're growing. Some people will leave their peppers on the plant to ripen or to get to a very large stage. Well, the plant is relatively small. And when that happens, the plant's going to focus all of its energy on maturing that fruit. That's why some gardeners will recommend that you pull the blooms off of the plant when it's small. It makes more sense harvest-wise for you to allow that plant to grow to the fruit to be a big enough size that you can actually use it and then pull it. Which is why I'm constantly pulling my peppers until about halfway through the season, which is why we end up with such a massive green pepper harvest the first half of the season. That's why we end up with such a massive jalapeno harvest the first half of the season. Second half of the season, when the plants are big, mature, they've given us all the green peppers, all of the jalapenos that we can use and freeze and preserve and enjoy, I let things start to ripen. And at that point, I can do all the things with red peppers. I can can red peppers in oil. I can have delicious red juicy bell peppers. I can make chipotle peppers for my green jalapenos. I can do all of these other things. So with the green cayennes, I'll make green cayenne powder or sauce, and then I'll let it turn red, and I'll make homemade Frank sauce and buffalo sauce, things of that nature. And by constantly pulling the fruit, you're sending signals to the plant that it needs to grow and mature and produce more and more fruit. So if you want the most substantial harvest you can, I highly recommend this process. I even had a viewer tell me that their first year growing peppers was terrible because they, look at that, Megatron, because they tried to grow peppers the more traditional way where, it says ready to pick your fruit in, that breeze feels so good. Ready to pick your fruit in 12 weeks and you'll get 4 or 5 peppers off the plant. And they said they didn't have a really great pepper year. And then they found our channel and the assumption was we're just peppers, although we're not. It's no whole story as to why our name is that way. We're mostly a homesteading channel, but I'm also a horticulturalist, and so we do a lot of gardening as well. It's one of my loves is the garden. And they said, sorry, I'm still working through the sweet habanero pain. But they said that then they found our channel and they tried using our method for growing peppers, and they had a killer harvest after that the next year, and they appreciated it. And that touched my heart so much, because if I can help you enjoy gardening and love it the way that I can, then I've done my job well. I'm going to use one of these mesh bags over here. These plants are just getting beaten up by the bugs. I feel so bad. Gosh, there's so many stink bugs on these. Not cool, man. So because of that, what do I have in my pocket right now? Oh, more tomatoes. I'm going to pull as much of this fruit as I can, and I'm going to let it ripen in the house. And if you didn't know, if you do have cats, stink bugs are actually toxic to them. So if you have cats, do not let them attack any sort of stink bugs. That's going to be a vet bill you don't want. Plant tips and cat tips, apparently, in today's garden tour. That's funny. I have amused myself. So this is a great example of why plants struggle against grass. Do you see this root system? This is eating up all the nutrients around it, and it has so many roots that it's preventing whatever's growing near it to gain access to those nutrients and to have space for its own roots. So if you have the ability to get out and pull grass, it is something I would recommend. Do as I say and not as I do. In the words of my pop, do as I say and not as I do. No, honestly though, once the construction is done over there, and it'll be much easier to be out here just about every morning. That's typically the way it'll work out here, is every morning I will be out here doing something, and then in the evenings or afternoons and late mornings I will be inside canning and preserving and doing all of the indoor projects and editing and all of that good stuff. So it's a good system. It works. You can get up early enough. This right here is a golden zucchini. This is a Long Island cheese pumpkin right here. If your pumpkins have started to ripen, this right here, which hasn't yet, this will finish ripening in the house. And if it's close enough, you can definitely take it, and that will allow the plant to focus on producing other things. There's a beautiful butternut squash over here as well. Alright, so I'm going to work my way forward with this row. So this is a bed of summer squash, essentially. So winter squash and summer squash are different. Winter squash is the squash that you are going to allow to ripen to its full potential, so you can store it throughout the winter and eat it. And summer squash is eaten when the fruits are small and tender. So they've been grown for years and years with the intention of allowing the fruits to grow quickly and to harvest it. So zucchinis, crookneck squashes, yellow squashes, things of that nature. Those are all considered summer squashes. However, if you wish, you can let them harden into more of a storing squash. Now down here, this is delicata squash. I'm gonna pull the fruits and then I'll bring them up so you guys can get a look at them. I just left them at the front. Hi, my angel.
I found one.
You did? Oh, good job. That's a big one. That's a cocozelle. Here, I'll cut it and then you take it. All right, you want to take it? Good job.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a big one.
And I got it.
Yes, you did. So these are delicata squashes. And then Natty's holding a cocozelle right there. These,
I want to flip one.
okay. These are yellow crookneck squashes. And then those are black beauty zucchinis right there.
Both of these?
Yep, they're just different sizes. Now, all in through here, these are peppers that are what I call the mystery peppers. You know, when you have a garden this big, you often have
Mommy, it's so big.
You can take it. These are spicy peppers though, so don't eat it, but you can pull it. These are mystery peppers. Now, some of them may not be spicy, but since I don't know what they are, I don't want to risk anything, so they all go in a bed for mystery items.
Oh, pumpkins?
Those are pumpkins.
Yes.
This is a poblano. There you go.
An orange one for all the orange ones.
That's right. Here, you can take that bag and you can pick all the orange ones you can find. I'm going to go grab the wheelbarrow to put this in. We're going to take a brief recess to go over and pick the blueberries. I know.
Whoa, I want to pick these for you.
Okay, here.
There's still more blooming like this.
Yeah,
Don't
so
pick those ones.
no, we don't want to pick the ones that
And
aren't
if you
blue.
see any that's pink or purple, don't pick those.
That's right.
Pick the ones that are only blue. Oh, I found one. Oh, I found some pink ones. Oh, look. There's a crack on one.
That's okay. So that's a pretty great blueberry haul. Here, so these right in through here, these are banana peppers. We're gonna go ahead and harvest some of these. This purple color is showing that they're starting to ripen. And then all along here, we've got some sun gold and other cherry tomatoes, carrots at the bottom. And right in through here, these are ponca peppers. These need to be tied back because they have grown through the trellis and over here and are affecting things. And then we've got guajillos. And then this is a volunteer banana melon. So I'll look through these and we'll see what we can harvest. And we're going to tie up these tomatoes. We're going to harvest as many as we can. So on through here, we've got onions. They come all the way around. And then this is the section of what I would call mystery tomatoes. I mean, you can see how bad these are looking at this point with all of the death, the yuck, the disease. So I'm probably gonna, it's quite possible I'll pull quite a few of these. Look, there's some pretty red fruits down there. We'll take those. Check on the onions, see how big all of those are. But yeah, the blight is just kicking everything's butt. And then we have borage over here in the corner, followed by cucamelons all along this trellis. I just saw one that looked really good, and then I walked by it. That's the thing with cucamelons, you can very easily lose sight of them. And these are bush beans all in the front, more tomatoes in the back, and then there are some pepper babies in the back of there. You can see the back of this all needs to be tended to grass-wise. Then over and through here, we've got a lot more peppers that are coming in. We're going to harvest those. I do have to be careful of this. This is nightshade. This is toxic. I have to remove this. It grows naturally here, so I'm constantly removing it from the garden. It really likes this bed. This trellis is about ready to be planted on. There's lots of different sweet peppers in through here. So these are Sargia giant chocolates. And then we've got some Cubanelles. Also got Maypop in here, just trying to take over. More Cubanelles. Cubanelles are really some of my favorites. Then you have Lesia sweet peppers. This right here is toothache plant. It went to seed in this bed, and so it's coming back. It's an annual, but it's always really nice when your plants come back all on their own. That's really helpful because then you don't have to do as much work. And the less work, the better, because then you can spend more time just enjoying yourself. So, Lesias. Supposedly the world's sweetest pepper when it's ripe. This has golden wax bush beans in it, and then purple royal burgundy bush beans. This is my Maypop trellis right here, passion fruit. You can see we're starting to get some blooms on it. This is perennial. It comes back year after year, so you can see it all along this trellis right in through here. And then this right here is our Malabar red spinach. This is another perennial that just comes back on its own year after year. Calendula, which again is very medicinal. We're going to harvest these flowers, use it in soaps and tinctures and teas. Calendula is excellent for that purpose. All in through here, we've got a little stash of Wonder Bells, and then Tortoisero peppers. You can see my beautiful girls down there picking the beans in this heat. They are awesome. And then on this side, you have Capia sweet peppers. And then all the way down on the opposite end, closer to Ella, the peppers growing over there are Spanish mammoth peppers. So the majority of this stuff right in through here, these are paprika peppers, sweet paprika. So all in through here behind these bush beans, which are about ready to come out. I may take some of the bush beans out this next week, at least trim them back, because I have other peppers that are ready to go in here anyways. So Cubanelles. This is a habanada right back there. These are some of my favorite peppers. They're so good because they have that really great fruity flavor without any of the bite. This is an elephant ear pepper. And then we have some Gatherer's Golds in through here. And some pimento peppers. These all look really good. And then the rest of these in through here are the Venezuelan tiger peppers, because these are one of my most favorites. So they go all the way down. Now all in through here, we've got another row of onions. And then these are Juliet tomatoes that are growing all in through here. And the dahlias are actually on the opposite side of this trellis. This is one of a few dahlia beds in through here. Now, because it is 5 million degrees outside, I'm going to focus more on the harvesting aspect of this and less on the chatty aspect of it. And I will lay out the harvest for you when we get inside.
Oh, cucumber flowers.
Today is Wednesday, I think, or Tuesday. I don't know. I've lost track of what day it is. It's Wednesday. Pretty sure it's Wednesday. Yeah, but I'm feeling like I want to nag, so we are where we are. Plus, you never know. With people like that, they can be like, oh, in a couple of days, and then try to come out on Monday. Plus, I have other things to do with my time, especially with my job, than to just wait around for somebody. Like, it's nice to be able to work from home, but we also need to be respectful of other people's time, you know? What do buckets of green beans, pumpkins, blueberries, a lot of them, sweet peppers, so much squash, watermelon, cucumbers, tomatoes, and onions. So yeah, lots of pretty flowers.